Hello everyone, welcome back to episode number 5 of the Mindset series. So my name is Amanda, and for those of you who don't know, I am the head coach for Divine Physiques coaching here in Melbourne. And today I'm bringing on strength coach Amanda Brown from the Queen of Lean, who has been in our industry for over 12 years now, has inspired thousands of women and continues to run a very successful studio. So we are going to chat about her transition from a commercial gym into her own 1,200 square foot facility here in Kensington in Melbourne. We're also going to talk about how she keeps her coaches and clients motivated. So stay tuned and we shall catch you on the other side.
My last sip.
Done. Well, it's recording anyway, so your first drink's on
Cool.
record. Anyway,
There you go.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. So, look, the reason why I've got you on here first and foremost is because you do obviously own one of Australia's PT studios for women only, one of the very few in Melbourne. And I didn't know a whole lot about you prior, but had heard about your name for quite a few years, being thrown around in the industry. People hosting courses and stuff like that at your gym. But then obviously what drew me to you was the fact that you've done powerlifting and the fact that you are a strong leader within our industry and you happen to be female. So the whole thing with our podcast, or my podcast, is that I'm really attracted to the whole mindset side of things within the fitness industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel at times that it sort of gets left behind in a sense. And I want to sort of dive into this a little bit more around how you go about preparing your own mindset, your mindset for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit about you going internationals for powerlifting and stuff like that. So I guess the best place to start would be if you could just tell the audience, first of all, why you got into the fitness industry around 12 years ago. If you felt anything was missing, and obviously why you wanted to make a difference.
Yeah, well, I think, everyone's got a journey and a story within the industry. And I think, I started out in a place where I actually came from a background of real estate, which is completely unrelated. And then I went traveling and I was just doing hospitality jobs. And I really just reached a point where I was like, okay, I really want to find a career that I'm passionate about. And I just didn't know which direction to go. And if I'm perfectly honest, I'd thought about being a PE teacher. I'd always been interested in sports. I'd always been attracted to that type of thing. But I was 26 and you always think you're running out of time at that point. But once you get closer to 40, you realize, oh my God, I wasn't at all. But I reached a point where I was like, okay, I got back from overseas. I felt completely lost. How can I get into this type of industry? And, it sounds really bad, but it was a quick in. It's a short course. And, and I think the course is way too short, but what matters is how your journey evolves after that. So to be honest, I feel like I got into the industry. I fell into it. I was really in a place where I had no idea about, the importance of mindset or the impact that you can have on clients. I started as a fitness first trainer, and, if I'm really honest about it, my heart was in the right place, but I just didn't have the tools or the knowledge myself until going through a personal journey that evolved, and a journey that evolved into the Queen of Lean, of, how much of an impact that you can have within this industry. So I was a PT in a commercial gym with 30 other trainers. You're kind of thrusted into this career, and you're not really given the support, the tools, and the knowledge.
Absolutely.
You really, I think you just have to reach that point where you yourself know that you could do better, and you have to take it upon yourself to go, you know what, I'm gonna change the direction of this, because there are a lot of people within the industry, and I was that trainer where you can rock up to a session, you can be completely unprepared, you can throw a medicine ball around, you can get someone's heart rate up, and then you're like, all right, cool, I'll see you later. And, you know, it's terrible, but I didn't know that that wasn't a good approach at the time. Like you get into the industry and as I said, your heart's in the right place and you really, you know, you want to do the right thing by people, but you're not set up with the tools until you go, hang on a sec, I need to go out, I need to study more, I need to learn more, I need to go on a journey myself of discovering that, so that then I can give that knowledge to other people. And, you know, as it turns out, my journey evolved, you know, to be working with women. So that's kind of, you know, it's not a fancy way into the industry. It was kind of like, what's a quick way in? And I'm just lucky that I found my passion and I explored that and wanted to go broader. And it's always been about more. So
let's talk more about that. That's really interesting that you actually make that as a point in working in a commercial gym, because I'm still in a commercial gym at the moment. And one of the reasons why I've just recently resigned is because, like yourself, I felt that I've been there for 2 years now, and I felt that the more successful my business has grown, the less support I've actually received, because I mean, it depends how you see this as well, but the way I sort of have experienced this in a commercial gym environment, it's either sink or swim, but the minute you become a shark, you're also like the real standout, almost like the black sheep in a commercial gym environment in a sense. Because everyone's fighting for business type things. So at what point, how long were you working at Fitness First when you decided you wanted to break away? Did you then open your own studio from that point, or did you work elsewhere from there?
Well, I was at Fitness First for 6 years.
Okay.
And I never really felt like I had the support there. I always felt like it would be a management conversation if my rent wasn't on time. And then aside from that is like, go off, do what you want. I think because I felt like I didn't have the knowledge there, I went through a phase where I did a lot of courses and I became a course junkie. Looking back, I probably wish that I had gone a different direction with the courses in the beginning. But, you know, everyone's journey evolves. I couldn't say that the 6 years were wasted years, but looking at how I mentor staff now, I'm quite envious of the journey that they go on, because it's like, oh my God, man, if you knew,
you didn't get it.
Like all of that time. And if, and I eventually ended up where I was meant to end up. But I chose not to, like, going back to what you were saying about, you know, becoming a shark within that industry. I think I was one of the only girls within a gym that was like very male dominated. I probably never felt like the shark within that because I didn't have the self-confidence to feel that way. But I also I always made the decision not to focus on the other trainers around me. I always made that decision to go, and it was probably my personality and my ability to be able to talk to members and build my own business that I didn't focus what anyone else was doing. It was just like, I'm just going to do my own thing, come in. You know, a lot of the time, like within a commercial gym environment, you're given leads from new members that come in. But I decided that I would just make sure that I spoke to members that I felt that I could connect with. And I was able to build a more successful client base that way. Through taking it on my own bat. So that was probably where I was able to create that success. But then I felt like in the corporate gym, it was sort of a misalignment for the clientele that I was wanting to work with. I decided, like, after doing a figure comp and building all of this knowledge and getting to a point where I was 8% body fat, I was just like, man, there is so much bad information out there, and especially for women. And women are so lost, because I felt really lost before I went on that journey. And I do reference that. I know that figure comps aren't for everyone, but I'm kind of like that extreme personality. And that was my learnings and my journey that I went through. And I felt like that was probably the biggest shift for me, because in being a trainer in a commercial gym where I feel like I didn't have the knowledge, I also didn't have that knowledge for myself. And I think a lot of trainers probably go on that journey where they're like, oh, hang on a sec, I'm not really happy with my own body. How can I coach other people? And so, yeah, through doing the fitness comp, I built a lot of knowledge. I was also, at that time, I'd switched to the Queen of Lean. And I think for me, as that personal journey, I'd switched the business name, and I was like, I love the business name, but I don't feel like the Queen of Lean. I don't feel like I have all of the tools that I need to be able to give that to women. And I knew that so many women were lost. So I was like, okay, how do I gain that? What do I need to do? And that's probably where that was the biggest shift for me. I started doing, different courses, working with a coach myself, and really going on that journey. And so I kind of feel like once I started the Queen of Lean, I feel like that's kind of where I started being a PT, where I employed the coaching model, the tracking, the nutrition, and just kept sort of building from there and getting the momentum. So that was probably the biggest shift.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more with you there, in the sense that I think we learn more about ourselves and our bodies and how to be a better coach when we go and we put ourselves through those rigors of competition. So I'd been out of competition. So my last competition, for example, was amateur boxing back in 2012, and hadn't competed since then. And I felt that I just needed to get back into the game again of competition. So then I looked at powerlifting, because boxing at the age of 33 was probably not going to be an avenue for me. But no, I learned more about my body, and have learned more about my body in these last, say, 6 months. And it has really elevated coaching for me, as I've taken more of a keen interest into functional anatomy and stuff as well. So would you agree that, and look, hands down, like any competition that you do is going to be the best experience for you, because it's being able to translate that emotion back to your clients firsthand.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Because you go on a journey. Every time I take part in a competition, you go on a particular journey. And I think it's that journey, but then it's also wanting to be the best coach that you can be, and really wanting that for other people, because it is really easy to do the baseline stuff. But if you're going to be the type of coach that is sitting down with your clients, finding out their full history, trying to work out like what are the mindset barriers, what are the things that you need to work through, then designing their programming. And, as I said before, you can be a coach that, I wouldn't even call it a coach, where you rock up, you do a session, and you go home. And I also reached a point where I'm like, you know what, this isn't fulfilling. It's not serving people to the level that I want to serve. And I think you also understand that once you've gone through a good coaching experience yourself, how important it is. And I always say to my team, I'm like, we get to spend so much more time with our clients than, say, a doctor or, anyone else. And we have like one of the biggest influencing roles within their life. And we get to hear what their goals and hopes and dreams and all of those things are, and we're the people that can help take them there. It's amazing. You're like little fairy
Absolutely.
coaches or something, creating dreams.
Yeah, definitely. It's a highly rewarding role, but it can also be very monotonous as well, because we are seeing these people sometimes up to 4 or 5 times a week, and stuff like that. So unless we are putting those good tools and strategies in place, like you said, once you became the Queen of Lean, it's almost like you felt like a real coach at that point. Yeah. So you developed a real concept. You started to understand, obviously, the sort of women you now wanted to work with, and you had proper programs in place. And and I kind of see it sort of around the gym too. Like, there are trainers that they don't even really have an iPad in their hand, or they're just throwing balls around and stuff. And I think, I wonder what these poor clients are paying for stuff that's probably not giving them any real long-term vision, long-term results.
Yeah, totally.
Stuff. So,
and the thing is as well, if I'm not setting someone up for success in a possible way, how can I expect them to succeed?
Yeah.
It's just, if I'm not investing, or, if as a coach, I promise them a program, but I give it to them late, they're not going to come in and train and achieve what they need to achieve, because, it's that relationship of give and take. Like, it's like if you've called a friend and they take ages to call you back, and then you take ages to call them back. It's just this, like, you teach each other, that sort of relationship. So I think that's really important as a coach, that you're setting the client up for success. You're invested in their goals. And it also, like, from a business perspective, it changes who you attract into your business. I find, like, if you are that person where you are just throwing a medicine ball around, you attract that type of client as well. And so I think that was the other thing that really changed for me once I branded the Queen of Lean. And especially, like, once I was getting the message out through my Facebook page, you have a different client that comes to you, and someone that's more engaged and more motivated. I won't say 100% of the time, but it does definitely change.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you there. So, correct me if I'm wrong now, Amanda, did you open the studio back in 2015?
Yeah, so we've been in here 3.5 years. For me, I was working at another smaller studio, and I'd reached a point through my Facebook page where I could generate enough business that wasn't necessarily off foot traffic or leads. So I'd reached a point where I knew I could sustain myself. And then, just through a chain of events, it didn't work out being at a smaller studio. It was kind of the situation of a business within a business. So it just kind of clashed.
Yep.
And so I was at a point where I was like, okay, well, I either open my own place or I go back to fitness first. And I knew that I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't really know what to do at that point. I was kind of like in a rock and a hard place, you might say. And I was just, even though I was really nervous and freaking out about the whole process, I was like, you know what, go big or go home. Like, I'm going to go all in and bet my chips and see what happens. And it was probably one of the scariest but best decisions I've ever made.
So, all right. So again, this is really interesting for me too. I love talking about business transition, and because I'm probably in the next 12 to 18 months wanting to open a studio. That was my plan this year. But I got another offer from another gym to help them grow their business. So I kind of took that up. But in the interim, I'd love to know, so when you left Fitness First, you walked away. How many clients did you walk away with? What was the size of your studio roughly? And then, because the new studio, Kensington's quite big. So what was the size difference there?
Yeah. It's I probably like in the transitions and moving areas and things like that. Each time I moved, I didn't have a huge client base. Like
Yep.
it was, I think when I came across to Kensington, I had the contacts through Facebook, and I had a Facebook page. That was probably my biggest asset. And to be honest, I think because of fear, I never really thought that I would have my own place. It was really being pushed and kind of like having to go at that crossroad. But I think coming into here, I might have had 10 clients, hardly any.
Right. 10 clients across to Kensington.
Yeah.
And how big is
going
Kensington?
into a 1,200 square meters.
Mate,
So it
that's
was
called
just,
having some big guts. Good on you.
yeah, yeah, it was, it's a journey. It was definitely, and you know, I went through points where, you know, it was so challenging, and you know, you're running classes and you know, there's maybe one person in each class, you're running everything.
Yep.
And it was building from the ground up. I was lucky because I had an existing brand, and that I was known within the industry. But it was probably like the client base was probably that low just because I shifted from Richmond to this area.
Right. Yep.
Plus also what I had to do to bring this place up to scratch. I just couldn't do both. And it was just like, it was pretty much starting brand new.
Okay, so it's fair to say now, like Quenoline is quite successful. So just if anyone sort of navigates on your website, they can really see that you've built a strong community of women. It is a fairly safe place for women to train, and all that sort of stuff. Now, talk about your events that you hold. So how does it contribute to the studio's overall success?
We run like 4 transformation projects throughout the year. We have other different events, like events around food and charity events and things like that. But our main ones that we run now, and as your journey evolves, like we didn't start off in the first year running these, but then as we saw like the success of the projects, we're like, okay, we want to do this one again. And now we've kind of got a set annual calendar. So we're coming into Project Bikini, and Project Bikini is a really, really fun one. It's a 12-week transformation journey. It's not for everyone because it is one of like your more strict preps. Like obviously you're going to be on a beach in a bikini. It's one of those where it excites our clients, but also scares the bejesus out of them.
Yep.
And that's the whole point. Like it's really breaking through those mindset barriers. And then at the end, like we have clients that do it and they're nervous the entire time, but once they do the photo shoot, it's just this huge celebration. And you know, a lot of people go through a journey of self-love with that, and you know, reaching that point where you've had to be forced to change your lifestyle, change your habits, and really reassess that. And then what we find, you know, that's really important after you come out of something like Project Bikini, you need to reset your goals of where you want to go next, pull back on the training, pull back on the nutrition, and find that sweet spot that you're happy to maintain. I find that, we go through a journey of measuring clients every 2 weeks and using that feedback method. And this is kind of like a stricter prep where we're looking at like what their macros are and, you know, bringing cardio in and a higher training frequency and things like that. So that's one of them. We have a project that we're running at the moment called the Super Hot Winter Challenge, and that's more of your team event. This would be more for someone who's just wanting to improve their lifestyle and get some body composition results. But a massive aspect of that is zen and recovery and lifestyle, because so many of our clients are corporate women who have families, they're busy, they're investing. Like a lot of the time we just get women that juggling so many hats, and they're investing in work, family, and a lot of the time they really forget about themselves, and they forget about how to improve their lifestyle. And when women are driven, they just think more is more. But this is really about okay, how can we rebuild your foundations? How can we get you sleeping better? How can we get you managing stress, eating more food, and kind of we're taught, and that was the gap that I saw with creating the Queen of Lean, is because as women we're taught to just train more and eat less. And when you look at hormones and lifestyle and sleep and happiness and self-love and there's so much that goes into it. We're way more complicated than just eat 1,000 calories and run 10Ks a day. That's my phone.
Yeah.
Turn that off. Oh, now it's coming in on the computer.
It's all good. That sounds really interesting. That sounds cool.
It's actually.
So is there training in that challenge, the Super Hot Winter Challenge, or is it more of a lifestyle?
Yeah. So we have a weekly team. We have a weekly team event. So what it is it's completed in teams, and you get to earn points for your team based on body composition results from doing Zen activities. So whether that is a meditation, sauna, that type of thing. We also give points for increasing NEAT or increasing steps. And we also give points for posting your meals in the Facebook group and sharing a recipe. So just so that you can keep each other inspired. And then there's an overall prize. So this year we're doing a styling pack where they work with a stylist, and they can either make over their wardrobe or, it's just really fun. But the biggest aspect, and probably something that I really underestimated, is the community aspect. And people really thrive with that. And the team event is amazing for that. Project Bikini is amazing for that. I think it's just, so many women are wanting to shift their lifestyle and go towards a healthier lifestyle. But then, if you work in corporate, there's so many people that, question your choices. So I think the community aspect is really, really important. Yeah,
that's awesome. That sounds really good. How many clients would you say the studio has overall? So have you got 5, 6 coaches there at the moment?
We've got 6 coaches, a team of 8. So we've got some support staff as well. And at the moment we've got around 130 clients.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's for the space, we probably don't need this much space. It's a little bit excessive, but it's a great community.
Yeah, it's very well lit too. So sometimes having a smaller studio with, that many clients as well can get a little bit crammy at times. So if it's working well and you can manage your space and all the rest of it, I mean, hell, it's great. If it's working, it's working. That's what's most important. Yeah. So
yeah. And look, it's something that the most important thing for me, or one of my highest values, is that the vibe is there and that everyone's having fun. And when you walk into our space, it's light, it's happy. You feel, and it is, like you said before, it's a safe space for women, because, so many women have just lost that connection with themselves and movement, and feel so nervous about coming into a space that, it's really about creating that nurturing environment. So then, they can then evolve from that to thriving and getting their results. And the amount of women that come here and, what I love is they start off with a weight loss goal, but then it turns into, I kind of feel like we sort of take orders for weight loss goals, but then once we go through the coaching experience and you actually teach women how to look after themselves and why they're getting cravings and why, you know, hormonally this is out of whack. You know, it's a real light bulb moment for a lot of women. They're like, they realize that it's so much bigger than that, and you know, it's how you feel and it's your energy, and it's shifting your mind towards setting strength goals and empowering yourself with that sort of approach rather than like, I want to drop 5 kilos, because your brain fatigues with that.
Absolutely. And I think like when women walk into a gym as well, it's always like 2 women will catch eyes and then it's almost like instant competition towards each other. But, you know, you've created a facility that empowers women, and, you know, women have lost touch, I think, not only with themselves, but with each other too. So I think blokes do a really good job at, you know, you'll see blokes that connect in the gym and you know, they'll shake hands, and it's that there's that camaraderie, whereas women, not so much. So that's why it is important to have a facility like yours that brings women together the way we need to be. So let's talk about some of the mindset strategies you have in place for your coaches. So do you run like monthly meetings with your coaches? What do you do?
Hang on, I'll just this call. It's going to keep calling me. Okay, so for coaches, this is something that we've just continuously evolved this, and I think like as a team we're in a really sweet spot at the moment. I'm very much about team. We run weekly meetings, so we'll have kind of a huddle at the start of the meeting, and everyone goes around, because it is amazing how you can be in the same space, and because you're busy with clients and getting stuff done, that you don't really get to spend that much time together. So the meetings are really important. We share a client win of the week, what's a personal win, and what's their focus of the week. And that's how we start the meeting before we go into like sort of general items, what's going on. We then do an education session. So that's weekly. The education session will either be like one of the other coaches presenting, or my head coach presenting, or we'll get someone outside in as kind of like a special event. And so that's a weekly thing. Like the education is really, really important. Then my head coach will catch up with the coaches weekly also for 30 minutes. And that's just whatever's happening for them, just so that they can get the support, whether it's around, you know, programming, nutrition, you know, they're struggling with mindset with a client, just so that they've got that sounding board and support. And then they catch up with me monthly for an hour. And I've just started using a system which is called Happy HR. And so we sort of have like all their KPIs and things like that within that system, and we do catch ups. So yeah, as I said, like we didn't start off that way, but the education aspect for the coaches is huge, just so that they feel like they're evolving and moving forward. I think something that really works well for us as well is after being at a fitness first, I decided that I never wanted to do the subcontractor model for my team. Like they're employees. So we pay super, we do all of their tax, but I also think like it's a very different mindset. And, you know, there might be some other studios out there that, you know, are doing that successfully, but I just always felt like the subcontractor model was a bit disjointed, that it doesn't create that team bond. And yeah, I think, you know, probably that's one of the biggest things that I learned in that 6 years, that it was just a little bit disjointed. And I always knew, you know, it's probably, it's definitely, as a business, it's more work and it's more investment into people. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're the most important part of your business. And we
Mm.
don't always nail
Yeah.
it. And we've turned over staff, but in turning over staff, we've worked the team's in a really sweet spot right now. So it's
Yeah.
good.
So, hey, did you always start out with having employed like your whole coach structure as employees? Did it always start out that way?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of had a semi model. Like they never paid me rent.
Yeah.
But it was like paying them per session. And now, I've changed that, and we've
Yeah.
put in different contracts, and so it's evolved, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I never did the rental model.
I think it changes a person's mindset completely when someone's paying them as opposed to them paying you. Like there's less entitlement, I think, on their behalf. Like they feel less entitled to certain things and probably more inclined to absorb information and, you know, learn from you and see you as, you know, you're the head honcho at the end of the day. And yeah, totally. If you're going to have a studio where people are still paying you rent, well, you're kind of, in a sense, not much different to a commercial gym where there's that whole stigma of come in, pay rent, do your clients, or here are your leads, wear our uniform. And then it's like, I'm wearing your uniform, but I'm running my business. Like it, you know what I mean? Like, so I like the fact that you definitely do invest that time and energy into your people, but obviously it does pay off dividends in the long run. So good.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it does. And I think that you can't really, like, if you want that team environment, and I probably learnt that because I was like that at Fitness First. You know, you get your back up and it's like, well, what's it to you? I'm paying you money. Like, you have that attitude.
Yeah.
I guess probably from my own shitty attitude, I didn't want that attitude coming back at me. And we do, because sessions move around and things like that. What I do with the team is we pay them sort of, like, I guess we call them admin hours, but they're like their hours where they can do their programming, but then it's also like the hours where they're investing in a part of the business. Because I never wanted it to be that I sit at the top and I have, as you said, like people just churning sessions, because it just doesn't create a brand that way. And I have a leveling system as well. It's probably important to mention, but a leveling system for the coaches, and particular requirements to go through the levels, is like presenting at a seminar to our clients, or teaching the team about a nutritional strategy, or presenting about a particular supplement. So it forces them to educate themselves, but then it's also like that's their brand time where, you know, they're invested in the Queen of Lean. And, you know, I'm lucky that I have done it that way, because I've got a 7.5-month-old baby. And if I had said it at the top where I was doing everything with people running sessions, you know, I would really struggle. But, you know, the team are on board now because of, you know, they're on board with the brand, and it's having that, that investment in the brand that's important.
Yeah, cool. That's good. So with, I just lost my train of thought. I love it. Like what you're saying, everything is fantastic. I love what you've built. I suppose just to quickly get back on track. So you've got the little one, she's 7.5 months. Yeah.
Yes.
So how many sessions are you running per week at the moment? Just quickly on that, and then we'll go back into the mindset stuff.
Sessions personally, myself.
Yeah.
Or sessions. I don't do any sessions.
Okay. So just running the business now.
Yes. And I used to, and it was probably since having Ruby that I had to pull back and step more into that business role. And look, you know, it's, even though like I loved being on the tools and I love having that intimate relationship with a client, ultimately to be where I am right now, and running family life, it's just, it's impossible to keep appointments as well. And I think, in order to expand and do what I want to do and go to that next level, for me, it really has to be about leadership and running the business and marketing and that side of things, because I really want to go to multiple locations. And I think like if you're wanting to do that, you can't be on the tools. Even though, and even though, you know, that was a part of it that I loved, and there was sort of, you know, an aspect of, you know, when I did have Ruby that I was kind of like, I was sad about, because it's like, what does this mean for me, you know, moving forward? But it's just, the journey evolves, and it's stepping into that space and learning more in that. And I think, you know, when you are a business owner, probably the best journey that you can go through is doing all of the aspects of your business, but then handing them over. But you have enough knowledge within that area to know when something's not what it should be.
Yeah. Do you enjoy being a business owner only now, more than, say, being on the tools? Have you kind of evolved from that part of yourself now?
Yeah, I have. And I really enjoy it. And it gives you the freedom, and it's a new challenge. And it's, you know, like you say, like it's just the evolution of the journey, and the aspects that I've had to learn as a part of it. It's a new challenge. Probably, you know, the staffing and the leadership is the new challenge that I'm taking on, and the marketing and it's just, how can I be the best that I can be within this space, and then, you know, to continue growing. So I've reached that place where I do really enjoy that aspect.
Yeah. I can see how you would potentially just almost live vicariously through your coaches now, where you get to still see your work through your coaches, because they are they're mini versions of yourself in a sense, wouldn't they be? Like you're teaching them all that you know, and you're getting to see that being built around you. So it would still, I personally can see how it would be very rewarding to still step off the tools, but still see your business grow and flourish in a positive direction. So
you've still got to be involved though. That's the important aspect. You've still got to have like that, the weekly meetings, and, you know, I'm in here like most days as well. So it's not that, you know, you're completely disconnected.
No, not at all. No, that's not what I meant. Like, it's just basically you get to work on the business rather than so much in the business, which, as you know, is so hands-on and consuming. So now what sort of mindset strategies do you have in place for your clients?
So the coaching aspect, or how that evolves, is we start each client out with an initial foundation meeting. So we have a database where it's, you know, a set of questions where we go through every aspect, whether it's sleep, stress, digestion, all of those aspects. What we do in terms of mindset is we'll set your standard goals, like your SMART goals. But what we do is we have something called Be Awesome cards, where we set 2-week goals, and they can be for whatever's going on for that client. And I think, you know, the important part of seeing a client flourish with their mindset is meeting them where they're at. Because, you know, for someone, you know, getting into the gym twice for that week is an improvement. You know, it might be hitting their macros and they're at a different extreme, but it's just being to meet that person where they're at. And it's, you know, as my journey has evolved, really understanding that, because I think you can just start as a PT and you can make recommendations, and then it's like, why won't they just do it? Just do it and shut up, you know, that sort of thing. But it's really looking at like what are the barriers for that person and how do you approach it. So we have those mini goals to, you know, help them evolve with that. We catch up with them in a coaching sense every 2 weeks. And it's really, and that's outside of their sessions.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they would be doing their PT sessions within that and classes and things like that, but it's actually like a sit down coaching conversation where it's like, okay, what's going on for you, what's working really well, what's changed since we last spoke, and then outside of that, you know, we find if someone's really struggling with a mindset, we bring in things around journaling, or you know, gratitude journals work really well. It's very individualized, and as I said, it's meeting that person where they're at. And the most important thing as well is just really no judgment over their journey. It's, you know, where you're at in your fitness journey is going to be very different to your client, and it's just trying to have an understanding of where they're at, how you can meet them with that, and how you can support them to move forward. It's also important, you know, to have like those gradual changes and something that the client is invested in. There's no point, like I always make the example to my team that it's really obvious, but if I said to one of my coaches, hey, I reckon you should dye your hair pink, and they're like, but I don't really want to dye my hair pink, and I keep like trying to hammer that into them, it's like I'm pushing my value that I want your hair pink on you, and you're not invested in that. So it's really like, it's trying to get the client to bring forward the ways that they're willing to commit to that goal as well, because there's no point in just giving them a cookie cutter plan of what to eat and when to eat it if they're not on board with those habits.
Yeah. So scheduling catch-ups once a fortnight, how do your coaches go from a time perspective in fitting all of that around like their sessions and stuff as well?
We'll usually do it like within the PT session. If we've got some that we need to have like a bigger coaching conversation with, we'll usually schedule in a phone call during the day, because you know what it's like with peak times with PT.
Okay, cool.
So yeah,
that works quite well
within the session. Yeah, it works really well.
Yeah, and how much time?
It's usually around anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour. We usually we use an in-body scan as well. So if someone's tracking composition goals, we switch to an in-body scan to save time, just so there could be more of that coaching conversation. And then it's also as well like having the coaching conversations within your sessions as well, and you know, really making that the focus. No, they're good. They're really good points. I mean, I've interviewed a couple of people now. You're my 5th interview, and no one's mentioned journaling, so that's actually really good. I love that because it's very personal for them, and it's not so foreign. So how successful have you found that for your clients? Has it been quite good? Yeah, look, I think especially if someone's coming in with issues around like whether they're worthy for the results, you know, whether there is like a issue with self-love, or if, you know, they're finding that they're creating a story that isn't true. And, you know, if you're constantly telling yourself that you don't have enough time or you can't do this, it's just how can people reframe their story so that they can create more success within their lives. Because we all, you know, over time, like whatever our backgrounds are, or however we've come to this particular point in our lives, it's through our own stories that we've created. Something that we also talk to our clients about a lot is whether we're in a state of a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, because you know, if you've got a growth mindset, it might be looking at your programming and like, okay, cool, this is going to be a new challenge that I'm open to taking on. Or it's like, this exercise is bullshit and I hate it, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, you know, and that's life. It's just how can you how can you reframe things so that you are willing to grow and willing to move forward, and having that awareness, because a lot of the time, like, you know, you can do that sort of mindset for so long that you don't even know that you're doing it. So it's, you know, as I said before, we take orders for weight loss, but then we really are about, you know, teaching people how to look after themselves and, you know, how to shift that mindset to create success.
No, that's great. It's such good points. And that fixed versus growth mindset, I actually put up an infographic about that probably quite a few weeks ago now. So I'm really, really big on that as well, is either you're moving forward or you're overthinking the process so much that you do nothing at all about it. So
totally. I read a stat somewhere, sorry to cut you off. I read a stat,
not at all,
that 75% of women want to train, but they don't because they're fearful. And it's like, it's crazy. Just these barriers that we put up, that, you know, are taking us further away from where we want to be. And it's just, it's that's why I'm so passionate about this space, because if I can create a nurturing, safe space where, you know, women can come and they can achieve what they want to achieve, then, you know, that's so rewarding.
Definitely. And women can be really hard at times to try and penetrate through their mindset. I think more so, I find blokes easier to train than women at times, because we're dealing with, when we're dealing with women, we're dealing with so many more emotions, hang-ups, insecurities, all the rest of it. And your facility, do you have any athletes there, or is it's mainly just your everyday corporate woman who's living life, has children, all the rest of it? So they're still very normal in the sense that they may slip off from time to time. Okay, cool.
We don't really, like, I went from a space, like when I did my figure comp, I started prepping quite a few people for comps. And then once I stepped into this space, I shifted more towards your everyday client who just like needs that nurturing process to help them get results. And the thing that, you know, I always have the same conversation time and time again about, like, women coming into classes and they're like, you know, I'm not fit enough, I'm not this enough, like I feel too nervous, I'm too shy, you know, all of those things that come up against you know, stepping into a group and exercising. And, you know, I always think that they probably have this vision that there's going to be like these super fit people in crop tops, all ripped in a class, and they're going to feel really uncomfortable. And like, it's not that at all. And it's just, it's creating a space where all levels can feel that, you know, they can succeed. So.
Good stuff. Now, does the Queen of Lean have any events coming up? Is it the bikini, Project Bikini coming up? That's the one?
Yes.
Tell us about that. When's that coming up?
So this launches on the 8th of September. Is a 12-week transformation. We do a beach photo shoot in the first week of December. So that is our next event. We also have a charity event coming up on the 24th of November, Lift Against Violence. So that's for White Ribbon Day, for violence against women. So that's something that we're putting together as well. So that's what we have on the cards. The team are always like, whenever there's a new event coming up, like there's never a dull moment here. There's always something going on. Like we've got Super Hot Winter Challenge coming up. There's a Project Bikini. We are going to do another one, an 8-week transformation, which is called Sexy Back Project as well. And that will launch in October. So
cool. What's Sexy Back, the Sexy Back Project about?
Sexy Back it's not a team event, but it's more for an individual transformation around rebuilding that relationship with your body and shifting lifestyle habits. And like last year we did some fun things, like we had a burlesque dancer in, so it was kind of like everyone started off feeling really awkward and self-conscious. And then at the end, it was like feather boas going everywhere and dancing it down. So, you know, that sort of thing. It's just,
That's
more
good.
around the self-love stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's good fun.
Cool as. All right. Amanda, thank you so much for today. Your input has been amazing. I actually can't wait to put all of this together and for us to both watch back on this, because there's actually quite a few good points that you made today. So just before we wrap up, do you have any questions for me at all?
I guess, what do you find creates the most success with your clients around mindset? Like, any strategies that you've brought in with your clients, or, you know, how do you work it?
I've personally found along my journeys in the fitness industry and working with several different coaches that one common theme among coaches was that no one had a set program for mindset in place. So everyone had a great training program, a great nutrition program, and they both worked, but no one ever handed me a booklet or a course as such that said, you know, this is also hand in hand with, you know, having a successful journey in the fitness game. So what I found, what I did is at the start of the year, so I've teamed up with JPS, with Jacob Schepis there, and I got mentoring with him for 6 months. And I said, you know, this is going to be my niche in the industry. I really want to work with mindset. And so I said, I have this idea for a mindset camp. And he wasn't going to put ideas together for me. He wanted me to draft up all these ideas and he was going to help me refine it. So I put together Mindset Camp, and it's a 6-week course of tools and strategies to help people elicit long-term change. And ensuring that these are tools and strategies that I've personally used over my own journey and I continue to use every single day. So they're very practical. It's not fluffy. It's not thinking positively necessarily. It's actually doing the work. It's basic things such as, you know, are you subscribing to certain podcasts? Are you surrounding yourself with positive people? Are you scheduling times of when you need to go shopping, do your meal prep, do your training? Very, very practical and realistic things that, unless in today's day and age, if we don't schedule these things in, we can fall behind, even for the most motivated of people, such as yourself and myself. So I personally find that there is a big hole in the industry in that maybe more coaches could be doing a bit more of this stuff, where they could package mindset a bit more intrinsically. But yeah, like, I think you personally are doing a really good job with it. For what you're doing, it's working quite well. But that is my take, Miss Amanda. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And look, you know, you've got to be prepared to do the work. And I think it's like, you can see if you've trained a muscle, but you can't see your mindset. But ultimately it's the most important aspect. It always comes back to that. And if you skip over it, you're not going to get the results.
Totally. All right. If people want to get in touch with you or stay social with you, what do they need to do? Where do they need to go? So Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, they're our main channels. You know, we have our website. We release blogs through there, but Instagram, we're all over it. Heaps of Instagram stories, Facebook. So
just
you'll
Queen
always
of Lean.
catch us there.
Queen of Lean on all those channels. Beautiful.
Yep.
Awesome. I'll be sure to plug them below. So guys, make sure to check out queenoflean.com.au. Tammy, I got that right?
Correct.
Good.
Correct. Yes.
Check it out. It's a great website. thequeenoflean.com.au. Good stuff. Hang on the line there, Amanda. For now, we'll say goodbye. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope you enjoyed episode 5 of the Mindset series.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Ciao. You're welcome.
Bye.
What we